Thank you guys. Thank you for inviting me.
And for those who are looking forward for German questions, you unfortunately have to be happy with English, because mein Deutsch is ein bisschen rusty at the moment, but maybe it will become better someday in the future. But Peter, we are so happy to get you to share some thoughts with all the Finns who are here live or watching the recording. Maybe you could first tell a little bit briefly about your story. What did you do before you ever heard this company Zinzinon, and how did you end up? How did everything start?
Well, yeah, that's probably a little bit of a different story. Some of our friends may know it already. I see a few familiar faces like Yari and Hari and a few others. I don't see all of you, but so it's great to see you. And Manu, of course, well, we have known each other for a long time now, like 2017 or something.
Yeah, great to have you here.
Yeah, thank you, Manu. It's great to be here. And Ollie, of course, we have known each other also for quite a while. Yeah, so how did I end up with Zinzinoon? Well, before I started with Zinzinoon, I was just an interpreter, so you can call it translator, but I always say translator. That's Google business. That's not me. You know, Google can translate very well. If you need a text, you know, whatever it is, you just put it into Google and they will translate it for you. And interpreting, Ollie, you know that it's a different ball game. You just listen and speak at the same time. And Randy Gage once said, that's the aliens down there in the booth, you know, because they listen and they speak at the same time. I guess, you know, your brain needs to be wired in a different way to be able to do that. You can't learn it. Sorry, Manu.
No, I just agreed, because I have tried it once before Zinzinoon, and it wasn't so easy. So, you know, right. you are some kind of aliens, I must admit.
Yeah, well, we are, and we need to be. So I enjoyed my work as an alien, and I worked for many different people in different areas from different walks of life. And I had fun, you know. It's just I love making jokes. By the way, I've listened to your Finnish fellow man Ismo quite a lot. I like his English stand-up comedy. So, you know, when I want to get in a good mood in the morning, Ismo is always great to listen to. Yeah, so I enjoy just doing my job. So when 2017 comes, I had been working for an American gentleman called Joe Dispenzan, Dr. Joe Dispenzan. Maybe you have heard of the gentleman. And I had been working with him for more than 4 years and about 30 events. Like, you know, started very small in Germany in 2013, and you know, then ended up with a 1,500 people event in 2017. And
wow, I didn't know that. That's Dispenzan. We know him very well, and we are reading. We have read quite of his books. Yeah, quite a lot. Yeah, interesting to hear that, your background.
Yeah,
with Joe.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. So since and I mean, you know, his work, and so that's very important. I think, you know, for consciousness on the planet, and I always enjoyed working with him. And then in June of 2017, I was sitting in Amsterdam working for him. And after the show, I said, you know, Joe, it's all great, but it's been 4 years, 4 great years, but I cannot imagine sitting there again, you know, and basically saying the same things again, one more time. And he understood. He's like, hey, let's have a bottle of wine. He likes red wine. So we had a bottle of red wine together and shared that, and then shared the last event in Bonn, in Germany, which used to be the capital of Germany. And and 1,500 people, like I said, and 2 people came up to me saying, "Hey, you're doing quite a good job. We like it. Would you like to do that for us?" And I said, "So who are you?" And the lady said, "My name is Jutta Bulcke." You may have heard of the lady. And the gentleman said, "My name is Dr. Hartmut Horn." And Hartmut was a medical doctor who had worked very closely with Jutta, who became a president just recently. And Hartmut sadly passed away in 2018. But he was my mentor, basically, in regards to all, well, the medical stuff, so to speak, and all the presentations. You know, he had the presentations and he gave it all to me, and I started doing presentations a little later. But that's just I'm getting ahead of myself. So chronologically, they asked me if I wanted to do translations for them. I said, well, you know, I can do interpretations, and it depends on what you do. And they said omega-3. I said, great. Taking the oil for 10 years now, but I stopped because I took something that tasted like fish, it smelled like fish, and you know, when you had this burping thing, it was like, oh, it's like you had a fish in your mouth, you know, it was not nice. So I said, well, I like the issue, and I like the subject, it's great, but I will not drink your oil. I just stopped that. So Hartmut, he was like an older brother. He said, well, Peter, come on, just try a little bit. It's different. And I trusted him. I tasted it. It tasted great. I took the test. My test after 10 years was, it doesn't sound so bad, 5.7 to 1, but 3.8% omega-3 index instead of 8% minimum. You guys
That's bad.
Yeah, that's very bad. After 10 years spending a lot of money. So I said, well, I have to do something different. And I took balance oil, and after 5 months, I was at 8.6% omega-3 index and 2.3 to 1. So I was fine. I talked about it. I had about 70 customers in a few months, like 8 or 9 months. And I only
sorry. Can I
absolutely always
interrupt? So you started as an interpreter. At which point did you decide to go for a business partner, or how did it happen?
I didn't decide.
Okay.
No, I didn't want to be a business partner. Hartmut just told me buy the package. You know, the ultimate partner kit. It was UBK by the time. You guys might remember Ultimate Body Kit. I bought that because it had all the oil, you know, all the other products. But I was only interested in the oil. But I still bought it because Hartmut was a great guy and I trusted him. So I took the oil and then I just talked about it, you know, with my friends and family. And so I didn't want to be a business partner. I had released a book in 2017 in October. That was my main task. I wanted to promote my book, and I just have Zinzinon as my private thing for me in the beginning, you know. But then it was so good that I started talking about it.
What's your book about? I have to ask.
My book is about actually about using biophotons to become better in health. So biophotons, it's a mix of quantum physics and meditation, if you will. Has been my hobby for 30 years. So I just wrote something together that worked for me, and I, you know,
something you learned from Dispenzan, maybe.
No.
Okay.
I've learned that 20 years before Joe. But
okay.
30 years ago, I started getting into quantum physics with 2 German physicists, and I organized seminars. Have you heard about the Flower of Life, maybe? Flower of Life, that's like a...
Yeah, somehow sounds familiar, but I can't say anything particular.
Yeah, that's back in the 90s. There was people like Greg Braden, Bruce Lipton, Tom Kenyon, and some of these guys. And I lived in the States for a couple of years, and so I met these guys in the States, and I brought them over to Europe. And I was, then I became their interpreter, and I recommended them to publishers, and the books came out. So I had fun.
Okay, so you had very interesting. You had your book. You wanted to keep Zinzinon just for yourself, and then what happened?
Yeah. Then I was. Everything with the book was fine, after 3-4 months. I couldn't do any more promotions and stuff. And so I started talking about the balance oil because it worked so well for me. And then, I had those about 70-75 customers. And in June of 2018, in May actually, a guy that I knew well, he organized seminars also. His name is Stefan Hief, and maybe some of you might know him also.
Okay. Stefan was your friend.
Stefan, he came into one of my my presentations, and he said, "Well, that sounds great if it's all like this, and I have known you for quite a while, and if you tell me it is like this, then I trust you. So we have to make a business out of this." So we started doing bigger presentations together, and we had about 15 people, 18 people, 20 people per presentation per night, and I would do the presentations, and Stefan basically then talked about the products afterwards. I was only the health guy, if you will, just talking about health and well-being. I talked about my book also because it's in my book, how I get up in the morning and I take a shower, I always take a cold shower in the end and stuff like this, just lifestyle things. What helps the body keeping intact as good as we can. So that was I was interested in that for a long time. So well, then we worked together, and it worked very well. That started in June of 2018.
And Stefan was quite well networked or connected in the like private clinics, or was it so that he had a lot of contacts there in that area?
Not the private clinics in the beginning. In the beginning, it was his network of organizing what you probably would call spiritual seminars.
Okay.
Things like this, and basically things like he didn't organize Joe, but similar people. So the crossover, spiritual and meditation and contemplation, science also. So he did organize seminars for these subjects, and had been doing this for quite a while, 5-6 years or so. So he had quite a large database of people that he could write to, all in the Munich area. So I live near Munich. And for me, it was important that I could work from home or pretty close to home, because I have been a single dad for quite a long time, since 2006. So my girls were very little by the time. Luca was 1 and Enya was 4. And so I needed to work in the area, could go for a couple of hours and do a presentation, but had to come back in the evenings. So it was a good combination with Stefan by the time.
All right, interesting. Did you have was it when Zinzinon business? Did you have certain goals, or this year I want to achieve this rank or T number or something, or has everything just happened how to say, you are doing the basic things and then you get the results, or how would you describe your progress?
Well, I know that there are different brain structures. Like I said, if you want to do simultaneous translation and interpretation, you need to be wired differently, and it's very difficult to focus on a goal when you have a neurodivergent brain. Now they call it neurodivergent in neuroscience. So it's very easy for me to do to sit and listen and talk at the same time. It's easy, but it's not easy at all to be object permanent. That's very difficult. I can hyper focus on what I'm doing right now, totally hyper focused. But goals doesn't work well with me, I must say. With the brain structure doesn't take goals very well. So I needed to really focus on the goal to move forward without having a certain rank in mind. I can't really. I'm not good in doing that. I must be honest. So I was only doing my job. My job. I was hyper focused on giving presentations. So I learned everything about the products, and I loved the products. And after a while, I took, of course, everything because I realized I met Paul, of course, and I worked with him quite a lot.
Paul Clayton.
Dr. Paul Clayton. Sorry, yeah. So I translated for him also, interpreted for him. And we have been doing a lot of stage work together, which is a lot of fun with him also. And I learned more and more, and that was my hyper focus. So I was focused on the products totally. And Stefan took basically care of the business part in the beginning. So after 3 months, we became diamond, and after 6-7 months, director. And that was the point in time where I earned enough money to, go a little back with my other work and do Zinzinon more, almost like a full-time job. But I had a full-time job already, being a dad. So.
I remember when we met and you were the interpreter guy from Germany, and then I think it was in Bali director trip 2019. You had become Crown. I think Crown, and we were thinking with the Finnish guys and Finnish team that, hey, Peter, the interpreter, he's already Crown. What is happening? So it was amazing.
I remember very well. Yeah, I saw you on the bike. We went to the bike trip on Bali. Yeah. And I like I said, I really didn't. I didn't really know what's going on. I had no experience in networking. I mean, no professional experience at all. But what do we do in our everyday life? I mean, from the very beginning, we do networking. Starts in kindergarten. You network with your friends, and let's do this. Let's go play football. Let's do this. It's always that's networking. And if I think about it, so that's my experience.
Yeah, I need to ask because you and I think also Peter, I know Stefan, you had like strong background and you were very excited about the products. Did you fall into that mind that you were talking too much about the science and products? Because we have always tried to balance that. Okay, how much should I talk about it? Is it too much? What is duplicable and so on? How do you see that in your early years?
I was terrible.
Okay.
Yeah, it's when you're enthusiastic and you want, of course, to tell everyone everything in 2 seconds, and you don't get that, they don't get it, and how can you not get it, man? So I just kept talking, and I downloaded all the knowledge at the same time for all the products that I knew, and of course that didn't work well. It worked well in the beginning when I only talked about the balance oil and only the little bit of information I knew by the time. That worked great, but then totally messed up.
So when you proceeded to, how would you describe your personal development or your skills during from director to Crown, from Crown to Black Crown, and then now on the Black Ambassador?
Number one, and it's my team became pretty big pretty quickly, and since I was more focused on the products, of course I was talking to my team a lot about the products, and I basically did not talk much about the business part of it. And I saw after a while that doesn't work well, so I have to balance that first of all. And I got a little better. Then Oliver, my good friend, and also interpreter, Oliver Scheuvens, he helped me since 2018 with interpreting at the events. He came on board, and he got the compensation plan within 2 months. You know, it's like, oh, that's easy. Like, it's not easy. You know, I have no idea what you're talking about. So, but I worked closer with him, and he was able to explain things in terms that made sense to me. Stefan is very good with numbers. You know, he can calculate basically everything. You know, and I'm like, after 2 seconds, I'm like, well, yes, looks good. I have no idea. And Oliver, he's talking in metaphors and pictures. You know, like, I just see it like this and like that, and in the car it will be like this, and you know, and in my business like that. So I got that a little better then, and so I got more into the business part of it after 2019. I balanced this a little more. Now, Ali, I forgot your question. What was it?
It was quite a wide question about your progress. I was thinking about this that you said that you first were talking about the products and
Yeah,
too much about them. Obviously, you have then you answered because of Oliver helped you to understand the business and maybe speak about that.
Yeah.
What other things would you mention which has helped you to get to one of the highest ranks of the company?
Yeah. Well, number one. And I think Manu and Oli and all the guys have been in Zinzinon for a long time. Well, we would agree personal development is number one. It's totally number one. If I would be the same person that I was 7 years ago, I couldn't, you know, be the team leader that I aspire to be. You know, hope to be, and you know, of course we get feedback, and you know, sometimes we do very good, sometimes we mess up, and that's just the human being game basically. But without reading books, I like to listen a lot. You know, when I'm in the car, I drive a lot, or when I work in the kitchen, or you know, do the household. I do the regular stuff. You know, I do the toilets, you know, I clean the bathroom, I do the kitchen, I do cooking, and it's always a chance to listen to books. You know, I love that. Just recently, I listened to Carlo Ancelotti. I like football also, so Carlo Ancelotti is one of the best managers, coaches, you know, most successful. So many Champions League trophies and so many different great clubs. And his book is called Quiet Leadership. And I like it a lot. And I mean, if you're into football, it's even better, a book. But if you're not into football, it's a great listen or a great read. Because I learned a lot from him. Just, you know, that I don't have to be anybody else. He had mentors who were a lot, you know, more outgoing and louder and you know, more extroverted, and he's more introverted and still very successful. So I learned over the years not to compare myself with others, which is a trap I think that you can fall into easily. That was a big thing for me, not to compare myself with others, because we're so used to it. You know, in school you always hear, well, this guy is better than you, and they are better than you, so try harder. I tried so freaking hard in maths, for example. You know, I just got through, you know, barely, you know, made it. I made my graduation, but like this, you know, it just didn't stick with me. Whatever I did didn't work. So it took me a while to realize it's not about comparing. It's about bringing out what you have to offer to the world, and that is unique for everyone.
Exactly.
Hey, I have to ask.
Yeah.
Sorry, Olli.
Yeah, please. Please.
So you were talking about the personal development, and before you had a hobby to study quantum physics and all kind of those things, and you know, many people would think that okay, you have known it all already, of course, with that kind of background, and then you jumped into Zinzinoon and you saw that you know, you are just like you know, you don't know enough. And I think you talk about leadership and all those kind of things. So that sounds to me that you really give value to Zinzinoon's like personal development program and so on. Just, you know, wanted to, you know, give a note from me, you know, if I think about your perspective. So am I right about that?
Yeah, thank you, Manu, for mentioning that. That's exactly it. Because I wouldn't have thought about it, but in basically in every talk you hear Ariane speak about personal development. You know, Hilda speaks about it, Dark talks about it all the time. Maybe not in every talk, but many times a year you will hear them talk about it. You will hear them talk about the books that you should read, and even films you can watch, movies you can watch. So that I give total credit to our leadership in Zinzinoon, including all the leaders in the organization, you know, in the field also, because you know, when we sit together by the time in Stockholm, for example, I'm more like quiet when I'm in one-to-one. I can speak well with 10,000 people, but in one-to-one, I'm like more introverted. I don't, you know, talk so much like I do now. Give me a beer, I will talk more. But I would just stand by. You know, I saw, for example, I remember, Manu, you were at the bar, that was in Stockholm, in the hotel in Globen, and a few people around you. And it probably was 2017 or 2018, I don't remember well, but you guys were talking about books at the bar, you know, and I was standing there like, man, that is amazing. You know, they live it, you know, they don't only talk about it, and you guys knew what you were talking about. You know, you were talking about the contents of the books, and you were discussing back and forth. Maybe Randy was there, I don't remember well. Randy Gage could have been there also. But I was standing there, and that's so cool. You know, I have no idea what it's all about. I know, you know, a little bit of personal development and my own story, but that's different. And to get into this new area and finding out that there is the consciousness to really wanting to develop and to you know, just develop your being that you bring into the world. That was amazing. And Manu, you know, you didn't see me by the time because I was standing in the background, but you were always easy to detect in the crowd.
No kidding.
So, and it's, you know, I'm not kidding. It's totally like this, because then I was drawn to what you guys were talking about, and I had fun on the one hand, and I was very interested in getting to know what do these guys know. Quantum physics sounds like very fancy. It's not, you know, it's if you have a great teacher, he will teach you. It's very basic. It's a basic thing that we work with every day. But they, you know, they make up all kinds of stuff. But that didn't help me in Zinzinoon at all. And I needed a different kind of development. And so I was inspired by you guys.
Thanks. Only you had a question. I interrupted you.
I wanted to get back to this goal setting thing because something just came to my mind because I've been doing also this interpretation work, and I have never been. I admit honestly, I have never been good at goal setting. It kind of frustrates me and makes me, and I cannot focus. And first part of the question is, as your strength being so that you have been so focused on the basic work. Am I right?
Yeah. You're right. And in regards to the goals, if I get the chance to have a few minutes of talk in an event, I will always talk about neurodivergence, because it's so important to understand. We always will have about 10% of the people in our teams that their brains are just wired differently. And I know from my experience, one of my youngest daughter, I have 3 daughters. My youngest daughter, Luca, some of you guys have met her. She is also neurodivergent. They call it ADHD. That's the term that is used a lot, ADHD. But the basis is that the brain is different, is wired differently. And then it's very difficult to focus on a goal. And for example, you wake up with 50% less dopamine. So my morning needs to look differently, because when I get up, I need to get my dopamine up, because you need it for executive function. If you want to do something, you need dopamine. So I'm lying there and I'm like, I would do some training now. I would do some, okay. And then I have to really push myself to get up and start doing it. And once I'm doing it, dopamine builds up, but the dopamine isn't there in the first place. So there's neuroscience is great, has been developing great. Andrew Huberman, for example, is a very, very good source for that. To listen to him, to his podcasts and interviews. And then I realized a few years ago, okay, the goal setting is not so easy for me. So I need to approach it in a different way. I can't say my goal is to be president in 5 years' time. It doesn't stick in my head. There's nothing going on there. It doesn't produce an emotion. And so the emotion is being produced probably by when I work with my team, and I have fun working with my team. And there is no immediate goal of the next rank. But in the background, we know that, if we keep on working and we keep on building, then we will get to another rank sometime, and it may be 5 years or 1 year, or in some cases, I think Peter Sørensen is a great example. It may take 10 years or even 12 years. I didn't care. I didn't care. I still don't. We don't use the ranks, by the way, the titles, when we do the meetings. I forgot about it. I forgot. Stefan, in the beginning, we started trying to use the ranks. So we have Diamond Peter and Diamond Stefan and so forth. We forgot about it. So yeah, it didn't stick. There's no emotion.
I think this is very important stuff here, because
Yes.
Because many of us, I think, including me also, because I have partly that, I know what you mean, and it has also shifted a little bit by age, because when I started 22 years ago, titles were everything, not even the money, but the title. Now I'm 22 years older, and it has a different meaning. It sounds different, different kind of values. So I think this is very important that you brought it up. Örjan talked about in director call today that do inspiring things every day, and it doesn't mean that you need to do Zinzinoon, but do something that inspire, because when you are inspired, you inspire the people also in Zinzinoon. So maybe it's something related to this.
Yeah, Yeah, I totally agree. That's a great thought. Inspiring, and I mean that's our motto: inspire change in life. But to remember it and be inspired yourself, and it's a great word. It means the Spirit comes to me, and I can bring the Spirit into the world. To inspire means bringing the Spirit into the world, or being inspired as the Spirit enters, the system, the consciousness, basically. That's my other work with my book, doing that kind of stuff, which is that's what we do every day. And if you think about your own personal lives, with your families, your loved ones, what do we do? Hopefully we inspire each other every day. Of course, we fight sometimes, and we have all these very important things to do, and sometimes we forget to do the real important things. Örjan once said to us, I think in one of the director meetings, the urgent things first and then the important things, something like this. Do urgent things first and then do important things. So what is urgent? And sometimes even with Örjan, he was the only person I could turn to for a while, because I needed. Hartmut wasn't my mentor anymore, so he wasn't. He had died, and Örjan helped me a lot in that time. So everything was in English. Jutta didn't speak English, so there was Örjan and Vivek, of course. And one day I was really desperate, and I thought I have to do this now for Zinzinoon, and I sent him a message saying, "I'm so sorry, but Luca isn't well. My youngest daughter isn't well." And he called me immediately and said, "Take care of your daughter. Don't care about Zinzinoon for the next 24 hours, whatever it takes. Don't do anything. Take care of your daughter." So this is very, very inspiring for me to hear that, and that's what I'm trying to live in the personal life, be inspiring, even though, my daughters they could tell you, I am really stupid sometimes, I do stupid stuff, and it's all too much. I say stupid things, I do stupid things. I try to avoid it as much as possible. But sometimes, if Luca, I could get her upstairs, she would come here and say, she would agree. Yeah, you do stupid stuff sometimes. But it's still okay, we're still fine. We love each other. So that's the Zinzinoon family, I think, is similar. We can do stupid stuff. We can say stupid things sometimes. But we're a family, and and we can talk about it. We can come back to the common ground of what is our common vision. What do we bring? What do we want to bring into the world? And that's the common ground we stand.
Wow, quite a story again. I think we have. I think we would have time. We would have questions for the rest of the evening, but we still have to share some things in Finnish in the end. But last question from my part is that we talk about inspiration. What inspires you, and what is your why, and what is your dream?
That's a very good question. Actually, I had a quick talk with Doug at the director trip in Lanzarote, and I said to him, if I could really say what I want to say, then you wouldn't like that. And he said, "Tell me." And I said, well, my why is I know that our products not only change us on a physical level. In my experience, it changes our consciousness also. And I think this is the most important thing, that we change our consciousness, because then, personal development is a part of that, of course. Then we can really have an impact on people and inspire people, because you only inspire when you are inspired. And this is my in the back of my mind, there's the word Hintergedanke. They use it in English also. It's a German word, but it means there is something in the back of my mind that's always there, and that is we change the consciousness of the people one person at a time. Because when you get in touch with Zinzinoon, you just have no chance. Your consciousness has to change through the products on the one hand, but then also through everything that's happening, and that's been that we see as a role model, so to speak, with our leaders in the company, and that will change consciousness, and that will change the world. You know, it's very big in a way, but it's not, because we need a change in consciousness in the world. You know, if you look, I don't watch the news because, you know, I don't think it's very helpful, but of course I know what's going on. And if we change the consciousness of people one person at a time, then we will see a different world in 10 years' time. And Zinzinoon, in my humble opinion, and to my heart, is really a big part in changing the consciousness on the planet.
Fantastic. Wow.
I have no words.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Peter. This was so much more than I ever could expect.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.